Falls from height is the top killer in workplaces. Dangers from falls are prevalent in many workplaces, including construction sites, shipyards, and warehouses. Over the last 5 years, more than 100 workers have died from fatal falls at work.
Workers died falling from open sites or work sites, falling through lift shafts, tripping, and falling while trying to get from one area to another work area through a non-barricaded access path. In our investigations, the Ministry of Manpower's Occupational Safety and Health Inspectorate found that many of these fatal falls at work can be prevented. This video will feature stories of how workers were killed due to falls from height, the potential hazards, and what you can do to keep yourself safe. Fatal falls are most commonly seen in construction work sites. This first story is related to a fatal fall of a worker over an open site at height while performing plastering work.
On the day of the incident, Lee Hong and his co-worker were getting ready to carry out plastering work to a column, a task that they have been trained to perform daily. The column was located next to an open side of a building under construction. There were no barricades to guard this open side. The workers did not secure their safety harnesses to an anchorage. While working, Lee Hong tripped and fell over the open side.
Lee Hong landed on the ground level and died instantly. Lee Hong did not survive the fall, but he would have if precautions were taken. If you are working in a construction work site, you can work safe with these measures. Ensure that open sites are barricaded. Ensure that safety harness is hooked to an anchorage point. Ensure that good housekeeping is conducted with supervision. The marine sector reported 13 fatalities in 2009, which accounts to about 11 cases in every 100,000 employees. This is higher compared to the previous year. This increase in work at height fatality rate is indeed a cause for concern. In our next story, we look at an incident that happened in the marine industry where a worker was drowned after falling into the sea while working on a hanging scaffold.
The day of the incident started out as a normal workday for shipyard worker Arjun. Unfortunately, it also turned out to be his last day of work. Arjun and fellow shipyard worker Mutu were dismantling a 2-tier hanging scaffold attached to the side of a vessel. Before starting work, Mutu hooked up his safety harness to the anchorage point. Arjun did not do so. While they were dismantling the lower tier of the hanging scaffold, the scaffold pipe that they were sitting on suddenly gave way. Arjun fell into the sea and drowned. Mutu was saved by his harness.
Arjun wouldn't have lost his life had he hooked his safety harness to the lifeline and an anchorage point. If you work in a shipyard, learn to protect yourself from these risks. Ensure that openings are covered. Ensure that a safety harness is attached to a lifeline or anchorage point. Ensure that manholes are barricaded. Although construction and marine work sites make up majority of the fatal falls, it does not mean they are absent in other workplaces. It is important to always be alert at work so as to keep yourself safe. Our last story looks at an incident that happened in a warehouse.
On the day of the incident, Chandra entered the warehouse as usual to fetch some goods. As the item he wanted was placed high up on the shelf, he used an A-frame ladder to reach it. To reach the item, Chandra stood on the top 2 rungs of the ladder in an unstable manner. It cost him his life.
Unfortunately, Chandra did not survive the fall. Let us take a look at some hazards commonly faced in the manufacturing industry. The common hazards or risks that you may face include use of inappropriate access means such as using ladders to change bulb, climbing on racks to retrieve goods, standing on forklift, poor housekeeping. This is what you should do to keep yourself safe while at work. Use of appropriate equipment such as MEWP to access height. Good housekeeping such as using stackers, forklifts and pallets. Stacking of irregular shaped goods and bulky items at the bottom. Safety at work cannot be left to chances. Always work safely at height. One of the most important lessons you must never forget is to always wear the personal protective equipment and hook on to an anchorage point. Do not take the chance. Let these two workers who survived their fall tell you their stories.
我在新加坡从事建筑业，事故发生的时候，我跟我的工友掐米，在云梯上面，大约有12米的高度，弹墨斗线，为安装理石做准备工作。云梯在下降的过程中，大约10米的高度，突然翻覆，我跟我的工友掐米被悬吊在半空中。
எனக்கு அடிபடவில்லை ஏனென்றால் நான் சரியான முறையில் சேஃப்டி அனஸ்ட் மாட்டியிருந்தேன் அதனால் என் உயிர் பாதுகாக்கப்பட்டது
我只是轻微的擦伤，是我正确的使用了安全带，才保住了生命。
நான் எந்த ஒரு சூழ்நிலையிலையும் ஷார்ட்கட்டில் வேலை செய்ய மாட்டேன் ஏனென்றால் என் குடும்பத்தின் எங்கள் அப்பா அம்மா என் தங்கை இருக்கார்கள்
平时做工，工友之间要互相关照，忽略安全就等于忽略自己的生命。
Remember the lessons learned in this video and what you should do to stay safe while working at heights. When you are injured or killed on the job, it is your loved ones who suffer the most. Remember that safety is in your hands and that you can help ensure safe work at height by following some simple rules and tips. Let us move towards zero falls in Singapore.